Chicago Bears season finals update. 14-3 lead over Minnesota Vikings at halftime, but what is L? The Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings already were eliminated from playoff contention entering Sunday's season finale at US Bank Stadium. Race the latest Week 18 updates from Minneapolis. Advertisement halftime, Bears 14. Vikings 3. The Bears defense held the Vikings to 87 net yards in the first half to fuel a 14-3 halftime lead at US Bank Stadium. Bears quarterback Andy Dalton hit a wide-open Damien Williams with a 23-yard touchdown pass with 31 seconds to play in the second quarter, and Allen Robinson caught the two-point conversion pass for the 14-0 lead. Advertisement Bears kicker Cairo Santos made field goals from 43 and 46 yards out on the Bears' first and fourth drives of the half. Meanwhile, Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins completed 5 of 10 passes for 78 yards and was sacked twice. And running back Dalvin Cook gained 12 yards on 6 carries. Cousins had 65 of those passing yards on the final drive of the half, which ended with Greg Joseph's 39-yard field goal. The Bears turned the ball over on 4th down twice in the half. They went for it on 4th down twice on their second drive. David Montgomery ran for 4 yards on 4th and 1, but Dalton later was sacked for a loss of 15 yards on a 4th and 5 blitz, giving the Vikings the ball at midfield. The Bears defense came through with the stop following that play. Kamara had a tackle for a loss against Dalvin Cook to push the Vikings into 3rd and 13. And Angelo Blackson took down Cousins while Trevis Gipson stripped the ball, pushing the Vikings out of field goal range. The Bears put together another solid drive on their next possession. But on 4th and 1 from the 13, the Bears opted to pass rather than call a play for Montgomery, and Dalton was sacked again. Filling in for Justin Fields, who is out with COVID-19, Dalton threw for 162 yards. Montgomery had 61 rushing yards, and Darnell Mooney had 6 catches for 71 yards to hit 1,000 receiving yards in his second season. Inactives announced Bears outside linebacker Robert Quinn and nose tackle Eddie Goldman will play against the Vikings after they were listed as questionable Friday. Quinn, who set the Bears' single-season sacks record last week, is dealing with a shoulder injury, and Goldman has a finger injury. Justin Fields remains on the reserve/COVID-19 list and so will not play. Justin Fields' rookie season, a game-by-game look at how the Chicago Bears QB played, as was previously announced. Defensive lineman Akeem Hicks will miss what could be his last game with the Bears, as he continues his recovery from a nagging ankle injury. Cornerback Duke Shelley, offensive lineman Elijah Wilkinson and Latavius Simmons and running back Ryan Nall are also inactive for the Bears. For the Vikings, quarterback Kellen Mond, cornerbacks Mackenzie Alexander and Chris Boyd, running back Wayne Gallman, tight end Zach Davidson, guard Wyatt Davis and defensive tackle Michael Pierce are inactive. Latest Bears buzz on Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. The Tribune's Brad Biggs reported Friday that while Nagy is expected to be fired Sunday or Monday following the season finale, the buzz around the league is the Bears could retain general manager Ryan Pace in some role. Bears coach Matt Nagy wheels his suitcase across the field before the start of a game against the Vikings at US Bank Stadium on January 9, 2022. Bears general manager Ryan Pace wheels his suitcase across the field before the start of a game against the Vikings at US Bank Stadium on January 9, 2022. A new cycle of firing and hiring has started in the NFL. Race the latest news, starting with the Broncos firing coach Vic Fangio. Major changes seem imminent at Hallis Hall. But what exactly will the Bears do with Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace, Ted Phillips and others? Matt Nagy navigates one last turn of the quarterback carousel. None of them have been successful enough as he enters what could be his last game as Bears coach. How Matt Nagy's record stacks up with other Bears coaches. Matt Nagy's time with the Bears, a look back at the career highs and lows for the coach. Disorder, dysfunction, disappointment. As the Chicago Bears' systemic failures continue, one proposed remedy has become common: you clean house. Pre-game in what potentially could be his last game as Bears coach, Matt Nagy still expects his team to put forth its best effort to end the season on a 3-game winning streak. The Bears beat the Seattle Seahawks and New York Giants after their loss to the Vikings officially knocked them from the playoff race. We all play to win the Super Bowl. That's why we coach. That's why we play, Nagy said. The biggest challenge as a player, as a coach, is to make sure that we maintain that obligation to do everything that we've been doing and keep fighting like you would if you had a chance. And that's what I'm proud of with these guys. When there's adversity that strikes and when things don't go as well as you want it to go, how do you react? Do you change? Do you treat people differently? Are you a different head coach? Are you a different type of player? Because as they all say, that reveals your true character. In the end, we all look back and say, how did we react during a tough time? I think everybody in this building can tell you, we we reacted pretty well. Veteran Andy Dalton will start at quarterback after rookie Justin Fields tested positive for COVID-19 during the week. Nagy said Nick Foles would be the backup, though Fields technically could have tested back into the playing. Nagy indicated the missed practice time Thursday and Friday would be too much to come back from. Dalton will try to end a challenging season on a high note. He was the starter to open the season before suffering a knee injury in week 2. As he was recovering from the injury, the Bears turned to Fields as the permanent starter. Dalton came back to fill in for the then-injured Fields in a Thanksgiving Day win against the Detroit Lions, but suffered hand and groin injuries and tested positive for COVID-19 in December. He returned to beat the Giants last week with Fields out with an ankle injury. It's been up and down, Dalton said. There's a lot that has gone on and a lot of things that were not expected at times. But it's kind of one of those things that you have to learn and grow from each experience that you have, and that's just kind of where I'm at. Injury report aside from Fields being on the reserve/COVID-19 list. Defensive lineman Akeem Hicks is the only Bears player who was declared out Friday. Hicks has been dealing with an ankle injury and will miss his 8th game this season. Outside linebacker Robert Quinn, nose tackle Eddie Goldman, and cornerback Duke Shelley were listed as questionable. The Bears on Saturday elevated wide receiver Daz Newsome from the practice squad. The 2021 6th-round pick has played in 2 games. For the Vikings, defensive tackle Michael Pierce is doubtful, while Mackenzie Alexander, Chris Boyd and Wyatt Davis are questionable. Miss anything this week? Catch up before the last kickoff of the season. 5 things to watch for in the Bears season finale, including Matt Nagy's closing act and Jalen Johnson's coveted matchup. Plus our Week 18 prediction. Bears QA. Which free agents won't be back? And will Devin Hester get inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? He shut everybody up. Robert Quinn's resurgence, including breaking Richard Dent's Bears record for sacks in a season, has been remarkable. Column, Hubarkush isn't a bum, but his thoughts on Aaron Rodgers' MVP candidacy were wrong, and he should recuse himself from voting. NFL playoff scenarios. The first Week 18 will end with a Sunday night showdown between the Chargers and Raiders for a wild card spot. Green Bay Packers clinch the #1 seed in the playoff. 4 moments from the Bears blowout that could be significant to the future. From Trevis Gipson's first sack to Darnell Mooney's TD. The Arlington Heights Bears. Hey Race, what to know about the team's possible move from Chicago's Soldier Field?